Hello everybody, I'm the Dragon Princess and welcome back to my channel. Today you are seeing another video where I attempt to make something that I am not 100% confident with. So in this episode I made corsets and I think I ended up making a total of two. I think I made two in this video. But you did see my first corset that I ever made. If you haven't, I will put a link to that one in the cards and in the cards. But basically, I wanted to try my best at making corsets because I was leading up to a video where I needed a corset and I had never made one, and so I wanted to get some practice in before I made the final one. So I cut out 3 patterns, but here I'm only making 2. And so I just went through the normal process of cutting out all of the pattern to my size as well as the fabric. For these corsets I was actually using a lot of my scrap fabric that I had, and so they turned out quite mixed matchy kind of thing. So I made an over bust one with straps and another underbust one, and the one that you saw me make the first time was more of a shorter one than the underbust was. So all of this is my scrap fabric that I have been trying to use for years, and so I just decided to use it in this scenario because I thought it best. And so basically for the underbust corset I had a mix of grey and white fabric on one side and blue flowery fabric for the other side. I tried to make this one reversible, but basically end of the story, I'm gonna spoil it for you. These at the moment actually aren't wearable, so I had tried a few different techniques with them in the case of boning and putting them together. In the end, for my final corset, which you will see in an upcoming video, I think I did pretty well. But basically, once I had all the pieces marked out, I marked where they would join up, and then pinned them and sewed them together. And if they didn't match, I lined them up with the neckline or the top of the corset so that would be straight and even, and then the bottom just worked out pretty well. For my boning I actually used zip ties. I had seen this quite a number of times over the internet and stuff. First person I saw doing it was Makara Tours. I saw her using zip ties and I thought that was a great idea, so I did use that for my first corset, but I used a different technique of putting them in. So I actually sewed, as you can see here, when I did the seams I didn't actually cut them off. I made them a bit big so that I could actually iron them down, iron the seams flat, and then sewed along the edges so that my back, sort of my lining piece of the corset, had the boning channels in it, and so that my front piece would be flat and you could just see the seams, and then slid in the corset corseting, or zip ties in this case, into those seamed channels that I had created. So that is how I ended up doing my boning, and it worked quite well. There were still a few challenges that I came across, such as not really knowing how to put the finishing touches on it, so like the eyelets or the loops for the lacing. Neither of these corsets actually have that. And so the whole thing was a real process of going layer by layer, panel by panel, and stitching it all together. And then just making sure that the bonings were in the right place, the zip ties were in the right place, and the channels were all secure. And then I pinned the top part of the corset, pushed all the boning down, sewed along the top, and then trimmed the boning, or zip ties, so that they would fit and so that I could push them back up and sew along the bottom with my seam allowance and they would work properly. And then I turned them inside out and pressed them down with the iron. So at the moment they do, both of the ends of the corsets are open, and so I'm going to go back in and sew an extra little panel in there so that there is a space for eyelets or loops for me to put in there. But at the moment that was basically my process for both of them, and so you will see that twice over. But for the second, it was actually a bit more of a challenge as it had sleeves. So I decided to sew along each of the armholes, the neckline and the back line all separately. So I didn't sew over the tops of the straps so that I was able to turn those inside out, and then later on you will see me trying it on and pinning it, so wrapping it around myself inside out and then pinning the straps together where I want them, where they sit comfortably, and it worked out really well. So both of these corsets I was really happy with because they turned out to be a pretty good fix. They turned out to be a pretty good fit, and it really helped me understand and get more comfortable and confident with making corsets. So the final one that I did for a video that you will see, it worked really well and I'm really pleased with it. So be looking forward to that video that will come out once I put on the finishing touches and edit the video, of course. Yeah, so thank you all so much for watching. If you did have any tips and tricks, I've been collecting my information from all over the internet for days now, just trying to get tips and tricks from the internet and little, learning bit by bit every day. So if you did have any tips, please leave them down in the comments. That would be really helpful, and give it a like so that I know that you guys like this kind of content. Please let me know if you want to see another video like this. There is another video with me trying to make something, trying to get more comfortable with making things, and that is dresses, so you can go check that out. But I'm also thinking about doing one for maybe jackets, so that will be another process. But for now, thank you all so much for watching. Please enjoy the rest of the video, and remember, I'm the Dragon Princess, and I will see you all later. Bye!
It's good, it's good.
It's this guy.
Nice.
Just to go backstage on Broadway. So I didn't film quite as much
as I had...
The Curro flats were designed in 1936 by a Melbourne architect called Best Overend. He'd been working in...
bye.